Hey, I'm Ruby. Today we're looking at a Viserai deck I've been testing recently. This deck is centered around Sloggism. It's extremely fun and it attacks multiple times a game, much more frequently than your one-turn kill rune blades that opt to play defensively and stack rune chants. This deck is also trying to stack rune chants, but you're going to be attacking many more times a game, and to me that's much more exciting. We're attacking for 4 rune chant and 5 dominate with the Arcanite Ascendancy. If my opponent takes any arcane damage, we're going to be able to... Oh, okay, so we have a Rattle Bones in the arsenal. Pop the Bloodsheath Skeleton, play Rattle Bones from arsenal for free, trigger my hero ability, create more rune chants. Now I'm going to be able to play Arcanite Ascendancy for the second time in the same turn. Hopefully get some more on-hit effects. Start with Plunder Run from arsenal, pop our Bloodsheath Skeleton, play the Sloggism for free, Arcanite Ascendancy for 13 dominate, and 7 rune chants. Before we start, please use the link down in the description on your next FaB Foundry order to support myself and, of course, FaB Foundry. We're players first. We're trying to get good content out to the players' viewership and to obviously get cards out to the community at an affordable price. Starting off with the keynote card, Sloggism. Every deck... My cat just jumped up on the table. Every card that is an attack action card in our deck is going to synergize with this card, meaning that there's no dead attack action cards. So everything that's an attack action is going to cost at least 2 or higher. Now, what does Sloggism pair with the most? Obviously, it's the best with Arcanite Ascendancy and Command and Conquer. Obviously, these are 2 red on-hit effect attack actions. But don't sleep on Dread Triptych combined with Sloggism, especially if you can throw a Mordred Tide at the front before the Sloggism. Speaking of on-hit effects, what's the reason for the 6 Mauvrion Skies and the 6 Plunder Run? 3 blues and 3 red Plunder Runs. Well, a lot of our attack actions don't normally present on-hit effects. Look at Rune Flash, look at Amplify the Arcanite, perfect example. Mauvrion Skies and Plunder Run enable these to put your opponent in that predicament where they have a much harder time making a decision on whether to let that on-hit effect go through or do they block it. And remember, a lot of games of Flesh and Blood are won by the player who makes the least mistakes. Starting with our attack actions, Arcanite Ascendancy and Command Conquer we've covered. The 9 Amplify the Arcanites, these are just your most standard, easiest to enable type cards. And like I said, they're not presenting any on-hit effects, but when you pair them with Mauvrion Skies or Plunder Run, they're very useful. Same with Rune Flash. Obviously, unfortunately, Mauvrion Skies and Rune Flash don't pair well together because the redundancy of Go Again. You don't get Go Again off of Rune Flash combined with Mauvrion Skies. One gets negated. Dread Triptych we've covered. This one Drawn to the Dark Dimension. The only reason I have it in here is because it pairs well with Mauvrion Skies. Any other Runeblade build, if you're not playing Mauvrion Skies, I pretty much don't recommend you play this card. It's cool, it's not good. Spellblade Assault. For any of you Visserai players, you'll know that you always want to have your turn starting with at least 1 rune chant to get that cost reduction, and especially I reduce the rune chant defense reactions. We'll cover that in a bit. Our non-attack actions. Let's start with Mage Master Boots. Usually you see this card paired with Tome of Fiendal. Since Visserai obviously plays so many non-attack actions, your Mage Master Boots usually pairs very well with your Read the Runes, and to get an instant, you can go from 0 rune chants to an instant. If you totally pop off, you could do something like starting your turn with 0 rune chants, Mage Master Boots, Read the Runes, create 3 rune chants, pop your Bloodsheath Skeleton, Sloggism into Arcanite Ascendancy. You can totally just come from nowhere using your Mage Master boots paired with Read the Runes to get that immediate cost reduction. Now, it obviously pairs well with other non-attack actions. Runeblood Barrier, similar to Read the Runes, if you have the resources, like enough blues in your hand, you can get another very similar pop-off turn from Runeblood Barrier starting it off. The reason I don't like using Runeblood Barrier that way is you're not really getting the defensive capability utilized fully out of Runeblood Barrier. You're going to end your turn, if you use it to start a combo and you attack, you're going to end your turn with 0 to maybe 2 rune chants. So I usually like to keep Runeblood Barrier for the defensive reasons, but I see people on Discord talk about using this as a combo enabler paired with Bloodsheath Skeleton. Sloggism we've of course covered, Mauvrian Skies we've of course covered, and Plunder Run we've covered. So Rattle Bones are 3 Rattle Bones. This card is integral to our game plan. Rattle Bones is the card that's going to allow you to get more Arcanite Ascendancies back from the graveyard. Majority of the time, you are looking to get Arcanite Ascendancy combined with Rattle Bones out of your graveyard. Sometimes you're going to use Rune Flash with Rattle Bones if you have enough rune chants to get that free cost reduction, because it'll help you get, it's not presenting the same on-hit effects as Arcanite Ascendancy, but what Rune Flash will be doing is creating those massive go-wide critical mass damage turns that we're talking about. We don't always need to have on-hit effects in the form of our Mauvrian Skies and Plunder Runs, and etc. And the last thing about Rattle Bones is always be on the lookout to how you can get that second mode off where you play at instant speed. Always be looking to get that mode off with Rattle Bones if you are able to do arcane damage and get that through in a turn. Keep in mind that good players, depending on how you play that turn, trying to set up instant speed Rattle Bones and deal arcane damage to your opponent and then follow up with more attacks, be careful about how you represent what you're attacking with, because a good opponent might see that you're holding several cards in your hand or arsenal, and they're thinking to themselves, why are they only attacking with like a weak attack and arcane damage? Oh, Rattle Bones. So therefore they can block all the arcane damage and totally negate the turn you've been planning. And that whole time it would have been more effective had you played the Rattle Bones as the original mode and just played it as a regular attack action and not go for the instant speed big play. So keep that in mind. Rattle Bones, huge ceiling for the card and what it can accomplish, but you really got to be careful about how you use it. This is a card that is very high skill cap for the deck. It makes Visserai totally a high skill cap class to play, Rattle Bones, because how you choose it, when you use it, when you pitch it, all these things. It's a tricky card to play. 3, become the Arcanite. This card is mainly a blue that blocks for 3. The most important thing you need to know about this card is you need to use it early if you're going to use it, or block with it. You don't want to keep this card in your deck in the late game. Finishing off with our sideboard, let's go over our arcane matchups. So in the Viserai mirror, you're only using 1 arcane barrier, and that's your headpiece. Now, the reason is not because the action on Crown Dichotomy is good, it's because Arcanite Skullcap is the least crucial to our game plan, so therefore we take it out in the Viserai matchup. And we obviously put in our 3 Irena's Prayer, and we're going to play some reduced to rune chant in the mirror. It depends if you know your opponent's playing a slow 1-turn kill style rune blade or something more like this that's going to be attacking more often. It just depends on how much defense reactions you want to play versus Visserai. In the wizard matchup, we are going 3 arcane barrier, going 1 Crown Dichotomy and 2 null runes, so that's going to give us 3 It's going to give us Arcane Barrier 3. And our Bloodsheath Skeleton, we're keeping in every single matchup. Even in the Wizard matchup, it's good because when you can play something for free, then you can potentially keep up cards in your hand for an opposing Wizard attack coming at you when you play a big attack, and you otherwise would have no cards in hand. And I'm not going to go into depth about every single matchup, but the defense reactions are obviously coming in versus classes such as Guardian, Warrior, Ninja, and the Plunder runs are coming out in matchups that you need to play more defensively, like Ninja, Warrior. Those are the two that I would almost always take at red Plunder runs, and then some other matchups you could. I'm still testing this deck out in terms of what the sideboard is and what the 100% core main deck is on the cards you play every matchup. So, like I say, the link is in the description, guys. If you're interested in playing this deck, go out and get some experience and report back to me. I'm curious to see, like, I'm totally open to making some flex choices. So we can go over those real quick. Rattle Bones is my first flex choice. I think of cutting this down to 2 instead of 3. Command Conquer, I'm actually finding Command Conquer is not great as a 3 of. It's just, it's a good card by itself, but it's not a Rune Blade card that's going to be triggering our hero, so it's just not that integral to our game plan. I'm thinking of cutting this down to 1, maybe 2. Arcanite Chart you don't need. Don't feel bad if you don't own one. And like I said, Drawn to the Dark Dimension. This is a flex spot. It never really ever gets played in my deck. So I'm very open to coming up with a replacement for it. It's got to be something good because a blue that blocks 3, we're happy to see those as a Rune Blade player. We don't get a lot of those. That's it for today, guys. Let me know what you think in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It supports players. Me and On It at FaB Foundry are players first. We love this game. We don't care about the crazy financials of this game. We're going to give you more strategic-based content. Stay tuned.